Thanks everyone for coming out. This is single line number 211. We've got 4 great poets for you this evening. Let's just jump right into it. Our first reader is Kevin Stebner. He's an artist, poet, and musician. He produces visual art using old video game gear and produces music and soundtracking with his chiptune project Gray Screen, post-hardcore in his band Filament, as well as alt country in the band Cold Water. Stebner has published a number of typewriter visual poems and other concrete work in chapbooks, including Tim Glassett, The Blasted Tree, No Pressed, Above Ground, and others. And has recently published 2 books, Game Genie Poems, which I think they have a copy here, I hope, and a collection of lithogram poems written in a collection of lithogram poems written in a Nintendo Game Genie, which is from The Blasted Tree, and Inherent, which I know they have, a collection of 100 letter set concrete poems from Assembly Press. He is also the proprietor of Calgary's best bookstore that's in a shed books. So please welcome Kevin Stebner.
I don't normally read. Most of my poetry is concrete, visual elements. And so the conundrum of like my most recent book was like I can't even read it publicly. So one of the things that I got a number of poets to respond to it, to like write this was like my ploy for the release, and I never got finished in time. So this is the first time I'll actually read from this. This is a poem from my friend Micah, who I did a rap project with. He was the rapper, I was the beats. But he wrote this in response to this visual poem here. I spend my days in the ruins of us. It's windy there. Here we kiss the last, my first, my hunger, my thirst empty, to the brim skimming the depths of fresh repetition. We were forever as the clouds roll in, the air curves, knocking me senseless, as did the first blast, the volcanic emotional range. At last piques my interest, why I couldn't understand. Now we sit smoking as the air curves and carves our ruin, our union. I bloom in mourning, covered in ash. The wind crashes, unsettling me from the rest. I don't know if you could read that in a visual poem. I just published this chapbook with Ryan, who's here somewhere, on his press, Modal Press, but you can download it for free on his website. It's a series of acrostics. You've probably seen them, like kids make them in elementary schools, put them on their fridges. Basically, it's like you have a word running down, and you basically use each letter of the word to form it. So I wrote a series of acrostics, A to Z. That's a kind of poetic challenge, being constantly obsessed with the Oulipo and whatnot. So I put these on. I'm going to read the whole thing, all 10 of them. Stop me if it's too long. So yeah, each word is from A to Z, 26 words in each poem. A search blackened caverns, delving ever more further groundward. Heroic intuition jukes killing lures. My needed objects, pilfered quest relics, somehow transient. Undaunted, valiant warrior Xena yoinks zinc. A boy cavorts Dragon Ball energy, furiously gyrating handfuls, igniting kinetic lightning. Magna Novella's other hand, perhaps queer readership, seeks tantalizing undergrounds, vaunting weeb, xenophile, yaoi zeitgeist. Agile bod contracted. Dad evenly fertilizes grass. Horticulturally invested. Junipers kept, landscaped, mowed, nurtured. Old Papa queries, reevaluate self-worth. His understood value, withal xeriscaped yard zoned. Across burning cascades, daylight's eclipse furious glaring hues. Inverse journey in kismet lunar moon's nightly orbit. Pinholes quell rhinitis. Sigizi, the unlikely velocity whipped, x-axis yearly zipping. Against burgeoning calamity, deft embarking foremost Grecian hero, imminently jumping, Kraken looms monstrously, noble odyssey perpetuated, quarrels roiling seas, thus Ulysses veers wildly, Zebek yars zigzaggedly. This one's my favorite, hence the title of the thing. Another boring Canada Day. Effusive flags gesticulate heavenward. I just keep lowering my navel gaze, overtly preventing Queen's repulsive sneer, towering upstage, while vegetating xenophobic youth zeal. Administrative bureaucratic catastrophe. Documents endlessly filed guilefully. Hancocked, inscribed John. Keynote letterhead, mandating notarized official papers, qualified resultant signature. Triplicate, underlined. Valued warranty. Xerox yours ass. Alien battleships cascade down extraterrestrial frozen galaxies. Hearken indiscernible juggernaut, knowingly loose midship. Nostromo orbits planetoid. Quickly, Ripley springs the uncharted vacuum wide. Xenomorph yawls, zero grav. That one's about the movie Alien. Yeah. Archetypal blahs, constant depressive everyday fears. Guilty, hateful internal jolts. Knowingly liminal. My nightly own poison, questioning unreasonable self, to understand, verily worshipping Xanax, your zilch. Above, this is a Christmas one, just kidding. Above, bells caroling, enveloping ennui, forgotten gifts, holidays incrementally jousting kindness loose, molding nativities, obligatory presents, quaint recitals sung tonelessly, underwhelming. Verily, well-meaning Xmas Yuletide songs. And I'll read a couple things from Game Genie poems. One thing I've noticed from working in constraint, doing all these poems that are very limited in the word usage you can use. Game Genies is a series of poems I wrote in the code area of a Nintendo Game Genie, which is where you just, if anyone had a Nintendo, it's where you put codes into. Basically, they had a very limited letter set that you could use for the codes, and every code used either 8 or 6 letters, so every word in the poem or in the book uses either 6 or 8 letters, and with the constraint letter usage as well. And then one thing I've noticed from doing these constraint poems is there's 2 things that always arise. You always get good poems about food, and you always get good poems about space. Because space and food have the best words. It's the vastest set of words. So this one, because I had the one about aliens, so here's the other one. Planet. Apogee Sputniks, satellite sentinel angels, visional lenses glaringly unseat extant Plutos. Output longings, spanning outlying galaxies, Klingons unlikely living. Xenology geniuses supply testings, sentient aliens sensates unspoken statings. Unseen Anunnaki illusions, evolving eugenist gestates nouveau sapien. Easily lunate lapses, Sagizi aligns, Ospec opines exigence. Lyca's skeleton, seasonal ovally involute loopings, pivot spinning axes, lovely plunging novis, singeing ozones, igniting oxygen.
Thank you.
I think like all of us, when you were reading your ABC poems, when you get to the last 3 letters of the alphabet, we're all on the edge of our seats. But you pulled it off. Our second reader this evening is Sarain Frank Soonias. Sarain is a Cree Ojibwe artist living in Red Deer, In 2020, he began writing poetry. During the spring and summer months, he penned what would become his breakthrough poetry book, which is titled All Wrong Horses on Fire That Go Away in the Rain, which is a great title. Since then, he has shifted his focus to theater and film. He found that his love for language and storytelling is invaluable to his study of playwriting, acting, and producing on the stage and on the screen. He's thankful for the opportunity to live an artist's life and is determined to lean into learning traditional teachings now that he's found his calling. So please welcome Sarain.
I'll be nervous enough for all of us, so everyone can just breathe a sigh of relief. Okay. I wrote this in 2020. I actually lived just down the block in an apartment the last year before 2020. I moved out to Vancouver and got into a counseling program for children and grandchildren of residential and 60 scoop survivors. And I guess I was due because I kind of lost it for a couple months. But I wrote a book, so some good came out of it. And so here's some of that stuff. For the book launch, I just wrote all about the real dark stuff, so I thought I'd talk about some of the lovey-dovey stuff today. This one's called Boundary Lines. Place a kiss on the back of my neck. The coffee is still hot. The steam is gently rising, and we leave the patio door open. Men finishing off a new building. Groan, hiss of bus lines. Writing again, feeling bitter. Need a reason to put my pen down for a little while. There's about my friend. This one's called My Good Friend and His Wife Had a Baby. My good friend and his wife had a beautiful baby girl. She has the spirit of 3 and will likely continue being remarkable for some time. I'm happy for her, and I'm happy for them, but for now I enjoy the quiet. Good books, old reliable trees, sky. She grips her push cart and wobbles around the partition. Around and around. Good luck is all she knows. Look up to the sun and whisper thank you for that. For now, all the wolves are just puppies stumbling about, and the water is always just right for jumping in. Last night I rode a ways ahead. It was dark outside, and it was quiet, and the air was good for breathing. A little slower, a little deeper. And I remember that a movie will fly right by while you make love to that special someone. The voice on the phone relaxing you, easing the weary muscles above your shoulders. Might as well sit back and relax once the tide starts rolling. Take a good look at what's coming. Approaching from across the hall is a tall, lank man. He places his drink and plate in one hand and uses the other to give his lips a cursory wipe. Who is this guy? He takes a moment to look at you, then introduces himself with a smile, and you shake hands. You shake hands a little while longer. He cheerfully speaks on one topic or another, the particulars of which you are not too particularly concerned with, but he keeps smiling, so you keep watching him smile, and he looks in your eyes while he tries to impress you. The two of you driving down an old gravel road, lazy Sunday morning after heavy snowfall. The cold, hard slab of bench leather under your seat, not altogether unpleasant this morning. Your husband seems relaxed, more focused. He wears long johns underneath, while you've elected to forego any unmentionables, long or otherwise. You cite economy of movement and absent-mindedly steer your gaze out across all that Dorrance Hill. Perhaps not so absent-mindedly. Your husband rolls those dark, gentle eyes and summarily blasts the heat, perfectly content, sipping your hot tea, quietly admiring his fading blue jeans, and counting down the seconds till you try again. This is about a bumble date when I was living in Calgary. It was fun. This is called Falling or Party Night. The day was long and drab, and I fell for the charm of falling stars like his kiss would go on forever, and only for a moment. The way making a decision, oh God, any decision would turn me upside down upon my head, and I'm over it. Over it. The arms around my waist, the park bench beneath my feet, the birds outside my window, crack of thunder across his lap. The bride and groom from noon till 9, but left my mind. And achy seat muscles, numb, not tired, but numbed. Like the arms around my waist and air between my feet. And our kiss would go on forever like falling stars. This one's called The Eagle and the Man. And this was about a painting in my parents' house growing up. And then someone told me it was about something else. What is it ever supposed to be? He watches over top of you with eyes. No, what's that? What is it ever supposed to be? He watches over you with eyes floating atop drafts, not towering. How could I explain it to you? If you believed your towers would show you God, followed them atop somewhere very high, but could you show the ones at ages what a law feels like? I feel him watching over me when it becomes very still, and I know there's voices and faces waiting and watching, and the blood running through their veins, creek water sound when the bush is quiet. And I wonder what the eagle sees in me, beginning to walk, to watch the mouth and lips as babes do, to create meaning falling upward, now a simple path in the dark. Just dreams of not mine and a sight who feels the life and death welling in my chest. Quiet water running along between the rock I would walk and step along. These next two are kind of, I guess, about a little bit about Alberta. They're not perfect poems, but I thought they were topical. This one's called Cold Dark Listen. He's a trapdoor that slams shut once you bought the ticket. Just look at it. Sit on a rock and look. It has eyes on you. Feel them somewhere in old blood and sometimes get a second chance. This time we won't. See the eternity in the moon's cold shadow. Cold and like anything I could wish upon beating hearts. Close your eyes, sit on the rock, and listen. The slithering in the deep is not you or I. It is not them. It is the trapdoor that seeks to divide so it might fill its belly. Distended belly. And then, I guess this one's called Rodney Everett. It's my dad's name. I could never speak like generations ago and tell you it was all true. And sleep easy knowing it was no lie. Babies were born, and the river flowed along as ever. Yet the crooked would cast your eyes away. You were designed to rest, to sleep, to dream. Do not allow the most unnatural to steer your gaze, to close your eyes. Join hand in hand with brother and sisters. 7 generations will see what you see. Consider what they don't. I did stand up and it's so much simpler because people just laugh if they like something. It's so respectful. Yeah. Maybe I'm relaxing. This one's about being 15 on the res back in Ontario. This is called Children in the Fire. It was cold in the water, and my heavy wet shorts clung to my skinny wet legs, and every open beer bottle was accounted for. What's the deal with heaven if the Holy Spirit already exists in all of us? Questions and double talk, and all the uncles holding their drinks a little tighter when I'm around. Half buried already in the dark, rich soil beneath the red weathered balcony. dark rich soil up from the beach along the shore and the dark trees. The flowers peered upward in little groups of sleepy threes, beside my empty hands and the hungry hole in my heart. The way there was supposed to be another one of us, and a girl. The light softly in her mother's mind, like spirits waiting patiently across the bay with open arms. Maybe I was just the child too, alive and well on the shore, in the dusk and in the everlasting, peering across old water at the little pyres burning bright in the distance, and bright at my feet. How did you forget? I got like two more. So I grew up in Red Deer, and someone, I don't know if it was the city or whoever, kind of near the river valley, they made all these trails in the bush, and they maintained them, and they were gravel. So this is about that. It's called trails. If you could play me as keys, and in between tones, where would the beat come from? Can you really be my heaven if the Holy Spirit already resides in all of us? No. Your water, bird song, the sound of our babies running in the bush, leaving prints with the other babies who teach in the shadows, quietly godlike, alone, and forever. Soleil, please be safe. Patient longing is a boy and a man. I'm still in the forest, but I march now. How could you blame me? But you would tease. And this is why I love you. I think it's important to know that I don't talk like this in real life. This is just poetry.
That's what poetry's
Someone talk
for.
to me. I'm trying way too hard. So this was going to be the original title of the book, but I changed it. It was way longer. But this one's called Drift, and this was the second last one in the book, so I was almost done. If I could take off my shirt and lie down beside you, wrap my arms around your chest and waist, and pull us firmly together, you could know what safe feels like, and let go onto me, pressing your hips back into good pressure, warm exhalation on your naked ear, and the back of your bare neck, good pressure, desperate, patient fingertips, and a large hand gently guiding your throat in the right direction. Beautiful welcome alarms ringing out, old hurts fading away, the reassuring inevitability of a cycle dictated by a star of unknown origin, and a man dangerously close and underside of something very soft and evil, pushing against you, and then stars. Bright lights begin to soften, new current runs somewhere deeper, where tired lust is dull, beautiful ache, like ancient waves smashing new creation against the rock, pounding the ocean over and over, again and again, new thunder of your own making, fingernails leaving expression of ownership, and bare teeth pressed into the welcome flesh of one who seeks to protect and destroy. Cries and whimpers, building and building, into a place bereft of sound and thought, where the rock itself yields identity and becomes the wave, and the waters would run above, below, and through new ground, over and over, again and again, until explosions subside, souls mended anew, into gentle give and gentle take, his chest rising and falling slowly in time with your own measured breath, lazy deft fingers slowly working through tousled hair, and the quiet memory of salty mist you feel on skin, and taste on soft parted lips long after, drifting off together in a safe place. This is about my Nokum. I didn't get to meet. There's this picture in my mom has of her mom and then all the kids when they were babies, and she died about 2 years later. It's about that picture. You can never protect them all forever, but you can love them. And the land is quiet, and the only sound is a gentle waterfall being heard and felt from a different time and space. Your eyes will be open to stars, and you will know they're all okay. Good mother they always have been, and your love for them will remain. There are children in your memory, they're safe, and your love for them will remain. See if I can finish on a good one. No, this one's sad actually. This is about my parents splitting when I was a kid for a while. So this one's called Gishik, which is, so my mother's maiden name is Gishik, which means like sky or something up high. Some people say kind of like a heaven kind of place. No, don't talk to me. We know everything we need to know. I take up the first damning steps. Somewhere I was young, running in the sand, and I knew I would be back always because the waves. But now I could not hear them, slowly falling upward. Dad was taking a walk to look for water. Mom was throwing the ball, and we leapt and strained, and she didn't tell us to mind our knees. And when Jess dove and got dirty, then Mom said a bug flew in her eyes because she said her eyes have bug magnets, and she got some Kleenex. Sometimes I'm sad, but Dad gets us up early to run or shovel, or sometimes he let us try a sip of his coffee, and then we play tag and wake up in the sand. Dad calls us Wakas. He's a good dad. I don't feel sad around him. He says if I want to learn, the land will always teach me.
If you want to find out more about the Single Onion, you can go to our website, singleonion.com. We're on Twitter, on Facebook. We've got an email list you can sign up for. Once a month, get a little email about what we're doing. We're now on Instagram. It's not me that's running it, but we're on there. I want to give a big thanks to the Single Onion crew. We've got Kirk Miles in the house here, Lori Roadhouse. Will Lawrence is in the back. Paul Marshall's here. Paul Kelly and Josephine Leray. And helping out tonight with our tech sound live stream stuff is Ethan and Katie. Our next event here is going to be June 12th, featuring Carol Harvey Stesky, Henry Heavyshield, Irene Nasted, and Kelly Shepard. So looking forward to that. The next Single Onion open mic will be June 6th. Featuring James Reed and also the open mic readers. But check out the website and Facebook for that because the location might change from where it usually is. And I just found out tonight from Kirk, September 6th is going to be our big party. This is the 25th anniversary for the Single Onion. So we're going to have a big celebration. It's also the 25th anniversary for Frontenac House Publishers. So we're going to join forces with them. And we're working with the Stroll of Poets Festival. So it's going to be a grand party to kind of celebrate poetry in Calgary for 25 years.
Where are you having it? Or is it
At the conference.
Can you repeat that date for Wayman so he can put it in his calendar?
Wayman, it'll be September 6th. All right. Next up, we have Nikki Sheppy. Nikki Sheppy is the author of the award-winning poetry collection Failsafe and Grrrlhood, a Ludic Suite. She lives in Calgary, Mohkinstas, in Treaty 7 territory. Please welcome.
I said earlier to a friend that I launched this book in 2017, and 3 months later I moved to Toronto, so I didn't read much from it in Calgary, my home community, unfortunately. So I will read some things from Failsafe, which is a little part I haven't read as much. So, but right now I'm going to read some things that are newer. This one, it's an excerpt from a poem called Fever Chart. It's a work in progress. And it has to do with when I was having a lot of terrible symptoms related to what later seemed like it was long COVID. So insomnia, losing weight, losing hair, no ability to regulate my body temperature. You know, it's like 1 degree outside. I was in a parka, and I'd get to the hospital, and they're like, the core temperature is dangerously low. Anyway, there are nerve pain and all kinds of terrible things were going on, and I was quite bewildered. So this is from Fever Chart. I'm in the brewery loft, sleep fervent, tossing, but never on my side, and therefore awake. Core temperature, subnormal. Serums in a Ziploc. The guesswork bays a hot pink vial spiked with juju and Muzak. Insomnia's lengthened. I dial the apparition on the cell phone, explain my ghost. Constellations are ping pong. My glimmering nerves send specters of perception less and less. Icy swans shushing loop necks. The dark horse darkening. Stellar clouds I might otherwise sense. One foreleg raised to move deeper into the rift. I'm not hot, I'm going numb, which doesn't fit the paradigm. My calves infer your hand from a waning stipple of afference. Ice irrigates the brainstem like chain of custody. I awake to spasmodic gait, slurping, gushing down my spine. My partner with a little hammer, testing my reflexes, then gliding a pencil, L bent over my soul, watching for Babinski sign. Transcontinental calls at 4 a.m. and then 45 minutes reassembling the bolsters, cushions, casting a sleep score, small tarpaulins folded in a cold fist. Looping poems about sleep lead my halter through dawn, magnesium, melatonin, dark water, every pillow in the apartment, every minute a tally. My ANA is off the charts as my blood. I'm shucking hair and fat. Every day I fight to bid my thighs to climb 3 stories home, through the ephemera of viral load, copter throb, sloughing the brain snake of medical gaslight. Nothing is wrong. You have functional neurologic disorder. Ma'am, it's in your head. Like a python, I shed into the washer's hot cycle, map the shower drains with sloth cell light, fronds of myself, hands coax insensible skin, envelops hair, shanks of gridlocked muscle. Finally, my partner's thumb lustrates in a well, gathering nerve pain that begs to be gouged. That shrieking spot's ultra ignition, initiated now, because you can't massage neuropathy away. It's like burning ground or thin howling tendon, the pain abyssally interior. A force field stretch plumbs me sleepless, literate unswallowing. In lamplight, my charging cable moves discreetly, a shoddy animation. Its soft stem jump cuts alongside the Lexvik table. Finally, night swathes my torso, and I wait for dawn. White River, marathon, a wet crawl across the uncomprehending nether of snow ice, horizonless. Unvisited nation, I live in a squall of dissolving maps, blizzard clouds first, then sun blasting light into white so white it's hot on my lens. Then the inner ember, snuffing bug dark, pithless, while outside the weird noctilucence of headlights sub-tweeting the road like the longest long poem. Couplet, perforation, bone line, or lustral thread, shushing me to the next border or stanza. Manitoba, where locals say the red tape might fix us for weeks. Stung in a motel, isolating dead broke and nursing the hot blister of teleboredom. The parka that extorts my limb is superbly blue, subaquatic, but tropical, not glacial. Its glister and shimmy derealizing over sand, as if I were standing on a hot gilly, dunking my eyes in the ocean. The parka is warm and lively as a mere-eyed Samoyed. Without it, I would freeze, rappel down a filament of storm, afference and hormone, to a bitter crux, gun sight, warping my line into glacial chasm. With a shudder, my body's caliber would glide neatly into the ice that I can't thermoregulate, deathly into a climate of blossoming frost. The chill, like a horde executing an order for inner claim and repletion. An autocrat I don't know now blues at my podium. This next piece that I'm going to read from is called Errant Infrared Birds. And it commits the cardinal sin that if Nicole, narcotic for here, I never studied with Nicole, but she always said, avoid being abstract, be concrete, use concrete imagery. And it's very abstract. So that's where we are. It's also in progress. But it's an attempt to try and find a language for trauma. And so for that reason, I have not felt bound by the rules of poetry, so there we go. That's just a few pieces that I'm going to read from it. It's kind of a longer sequence, but I've excerpted a few. Errant Infrared Birds, X-ray. Printing my body in rays through my radiolucency, I tell you candidly of unseen couplets, of folio-pressed skins and owls surveilling me microscopically, but themselves unseen. Owls held soft inside the lumin's consonants as the auras crater on the me myself now breathless, gripping perimeters without voice, mouth in formalized prehension, as if known and fletched by few, supple with unconscious knowing, yet unillumined by waves assailing my materiality. The owl cry, indecipherable, hieroglyphic, but lacking contrast, where every tissue reiterates the same destructuring touch, hidden curves and viola, darkness in the wave's dark film. No. Light feels asymptotic, grazing cursives, my hips, heart, and brain, the stun border defining my lips in a cupid's bow. What I say is fletched, projected, plume soft and merciless, to stoke my own nerve. Sensation glides as fur, pluck first through the numb suit. Fugue. Memory sequestered, skimming inwardly, a third of an inch, lightly viola. The radius of its reflection as a factor of somnolence is something to behold. That bare, torn 2 feet softer, 5 moist and fitful heathers igniting in crocus. The killer bees are crossing into Canada, says my brother. Dawn paragraphs, deep blue shift and phase. The otter, now silver tendresse, I swallow 3 centimes du pleu. Iron. Something piercing. Mind like a pincushion grieved, soft lancing and concussive, to right thread across, basting a wishbone's new breakage, my part to my part warming. Sunrise, eat this next darkness, softening through the machine like blood-warm taffy, the body's lonely star sewing itself from pieces unnamed. I flow through a milk-curved throat as fabric, enter the needle's pulsation to join myself as more expansively myself. Cloth seaming at the teeming edge, tailored by inner singers. Strands who meet to kiss at the nexus, brightly touching my new and extra, a kind of syntax. Fitted heat, my body trafficking through feed dogs. The cusp turned under at the iron. The raw edge, invisible now, shedding quietly its weave, as now I have made me. Okay, so I'm going to read something from my book. And I think it's something that I think I read a lot from the Mouthfeel poems when I was launching this book in Calgary at the time. And I can tell that's true because I flagged them. But anyway, so I think this is a poem that I didn't much read. I'm going to read parts of it. It's called OR, O-R-E, and the OR is because it goes back and forth between the kind of scene of destruction, which is sometimes a kind of arcane scene of destruction and volcanism in the early, formation of the Earth, like in the early period of the Earth, and then a very personal scene of a girl who's locked in a closet, and it goes back and forth. So the first poem sort of weaves between the two, and then the pages alternate the kind of, larger scene and the intimate scene. And I'll just read some of this series of poems. 4. The ancient planetary body, gushing in its closet, has been struck many times and holds now, between its many sheaves, an ill-tempered chronicle of being and the condition of being in the shape of its mineral record among various cloths and materialities. This grandeur is an intimacy, stoked by fire and geology, held among shoes and their soles and laces, the ore immovable or squirming in the dark. 1. Archaean cold, arcos, clasts of minutely suspended air, the oxygen dispersed but held with mineral deliberation. At the shattered cone bone cyst, impact glass and ejecta, the tooth of a meteor cawed through its slumber. From within plutonic pillow breccias, flush with my comb, the eye slits open to terrify the shores of its darkness. 2. Light curves beneath the door, ephemeral fluid licking the brim, origami heart. That's how night folds, like laundry around absence. Like scented cuffs in a room, locked upon systolic surgeless. A pulse skulls along the wrists of an empty shirt. Something moves, a cotton moth, nearly alive, quivering down the face. 3. Ash plane of toughened glass, pyroclastic substation, its ribcage a claw, gripping the heart like a bead of tephra. What burned is now solid. A pickaxe would perish in its cortex, thin, thick, and raw as it bites to parse the core. 4. Here are knickknacks, a stem of buttons, wire shimmings of a shoe rack. But it's the metal clasp that's everything. Starlight, clicking with gleam. Sunlightless body, closeted, some salt, breathing, listening for the okay. 5. Slow cobalt blood back, pithy conciliation. A keel in the breast falls inward to rest at the saddle point of hyperbole. Stems drain beneath the sleek pyrethrum, athral with the ardor of scent. Strum the sob of cryptic plumage to render as alloy, burnt opulence. 6. Count shoes, eyelets, pebbles, smell leather, vinyl, fur-footedness, crouch over toes. 9. Silver sword asleep in the flow zone, frosted anemone on bed of cinder. Its rays prickle the air, their floss, toss their floss till they know how the howling wind kick and hustle like rarity on the blent wreckage of high-altitude fires. Its silver bursts, draws a line of shrapnel from core to tip. That sprig of ballistics will keen and slit each thought, tracing its path to the limits of what can be known. On the slopes of Heliakala, cold as ozone, a mind taps the ashen mother lode, quiet as cosmos and lonely and sharp as the genius of stars. 10. And the room slams around itself, with darkness worries the mind, as Egyptian embalmers wishing to parse immortality handle an obsidian scalpel. 11. Men arrive transgenic, unslakable. They are fleet and immersive. They gently distend diaphragm and throat. Syrinx flex like a cord of magma, swallowing its own heat. Light travels in shadow, forked tongue, an eternal bird, a slit blaze glazed in char. Cartilage and bone are bright albinism of a crow. 12. swallow, sleep deep, skinned knee, wing beat. Just if you want that. So there. So this poem, Why Write, owes something I had during my PhD about a fellow student, who some of you will know, and a friend, Larissa Lai. In it, I searched for and found, like in the dream, I searched for and found in a university district dumpster the feet of my vanished friend. It was a little bit creepy. Because it was the feet, both missing and recovered, that featured so prominently, and because we both really did, outside of like dream logic, work on trauma and literature in our studies, I assumed the dream was about voice, perhaps even poetic voice, because there were the feet, the poetic feet. Voice always at risk in traumatic subjects of loss or bewilderment. So in real life, thankfully, of course, Larissa never vanished, and her feet are just fine. Architected by grotto in which the ghosts fume, patterned by this tiny room, foam cheek buckle, sleek duress, its pilot silking the walls dark, planes, hip cornered, lilies fanged and spatchcocked like cardium, breath titrated, the omens shift and calm. Thoughts climb, then dissipate in phases, snowshoes gathering blueprints. The ice water sops through socks I lost while searching for the ankles of my friend in school dumpsters. When you see something, say something. That's ferocity. Cool mind seeping to my uncanny friend like secret tree saps. In this dream of that dream time, I wore absurdly a hound's tooth deerstalker. Sought my body in tissue paper patterns, traveling the thread by which I hung in a cave, alert to the patter of feet. Cauterized the living scene, that form that daily passed for me, flood itself a kind of fire. Soft feet, dragging in a bag I haul, those ghosts pulsing on their own lost feet. And I'll just close with, so we went from Why Write to How to Read. So my book opens with a sequence of visual poems called How to Read, and they're based on like this windows, doors, an elevator, there's a shower, etc. That's one of those doors that like goes two ways. Like if you walk through this way, someone can walk through that way, and so there's a constant flow, and you can just not hit each other. Anyway, so there's sort of diagrams of like revolving doors and stairwells and things like that. So I'll just read two of those. I will read the door one first. The door's odor is perfusive, chaotic, and without meaning. Every pore can digest precisely any persistence because its welded stoma speaks the lingua franca of your will to know. A door equals threshold, berating, enfolding. The way I have entered and been entered, this is architecture. The way I have dwelled and plotted egress, this is architecture. The sweep of my leaving, star-saving breast tracing a quarter circuit of my revolution, this is architecture. And then we'll move to the called an opposing door, when you can like go that way when other people go that way. Either way, with throbbed looking askance, an ampersand, an unlikely Allen key edged with facets that pour into my syllables. In an emergency, it is possible to both enter and leave. This is the wonder of the opposing door, with its guaranteed flow rate. My language will not be wall crushed. My word can arrive or flee.
I'm glad Larissa's feet are okay. And we won't tell Nicole that you've been using abstract words. We have one final poet this evening. Jaspreet Singh is the author of acclaimed poetry collections, nonfiction novels, short stories, and a memoir. More and more, his work engages with deep time and the ecological crisis. His most recent books are How to Hold a Pebble and Dreams of the Epoch and the Rock, both from New West Press. And Jaspreet is very humble, so he will never tell you, but he's won a whole bunch of awards. So I will tell you. And so we're going to welcome Jaspreet Singh, and I believe Samantha Jones is also going to read one of his poems to kind of get us started.
Jaspreet just asked me if I would pick one and read it to start. We keep crossing paths in all kinds of different ways. So I'm going to read a short one for you, a Holocene poem after William Carlos Williams. You were fast asleep when I raised the heat by 3.5 degrees because I had a sudden craving to eat the juicy mangoes my cousin sent us all the way from Punjab. I thought they'd taste more succulent if the room were warmer. And they did. I am sorry if the thermostat adjustment caused any discomfort. So tender and sweet, those 13 mangoes.
I was going to read and also begin with a different poem, but during the intermission, I saw that Julie Sadivi is here, so I'm going to read a poem for her. And, it's called "I Sleep in the Nest of the Language I Am Learning." It's a prose poem, but it's like when we were setting this thing up, I told my editor and others, the book designers, that okay, it's a prose poem, but the line breaks are real. Okay, and but they said no. In a prose poem, there are no such things as line breaks. And I said no. Whenever there is this hesitation between sound and meaning, there is a line break. And although this is a paragraph, but there is not a hesitation. Right? Okay, or maybe I will try to read it like that. I've never read this thing before. So I sleep in the nest of the language I'm learning. Language is a window. Strawberries taste different when one stands by different windows. Language is a hallucination. Barber shops trigger different affects in Spanish, Punjabi, Cree. Grass grows at a different speed. Sometimes I smell earth in the lemon trees of a new language. Hear the world for the first time. The new languages poets make me realize there are horses with 6 legs. In streets or trains or mercados, the rising sun of its advanced speakers makes my ears go heliotropic. Now I have more ways to describe light when it contacts leaves that it helped make. More memory pathways to childhood's blood oranges. More vocabularies of love and its impossibility, whole, carbon, Julia, rain, sun, ray, blood. Sometimes I wish the new language, like the old, did not come, stained by histories, erasing entire peoples. But soon I learn the new language's own voice and pronounce the diminutive of now. Ahorita. Sit alone. I will never know if I have more empathy in language X or Y. But I might develop more because both X and Y talk to each other within me. Beautiful word, Alpadeo. I sleep in the nest of the language I am learning. Eventually, it will learn more about me than I will about it. Eventually, time will heal wounds. Eventually, wounds will heal time. Eventually, strawberries will disappear from my dream. I will wake up thirsty, stand by the window. The sea is not far. El mar no está lejos. And the next one, once again, I wasn't planning to read this one either. So it's called Chairs. And about a year ago, I made a pact with myself that I will only read this poem if there is at least one empty chair. Chairs. Many a time I forget them until a friend leaves my place after a longish catching of dinner. I look at her chair, the way she left it behind. Facing a rare direction, the chair freshly empty, still carrying heavy things she did not want to tell or could not. After I am done, I sit in her chair until the new dawn, staring at my chair, aspiring to make contact with the mild creaking of ungraspable things, the ones I find difficult, really difficult to share with her, with myself. The other thing I was planning to read, but I was sitting here for a while, and then there are these books like this one, The World Without Us. And this book inspired a poem, so I will read the poem. It's called What Will You Do, Earth? What will you do, Earth, when we are gone? When we are gone, will you miss us? Systematically, your geo-biochem cycles will reorder and clean what we left behind. Our objects will last what we call a long time. Some will bring on other species unprecedented hardship. Eventually, you will make yourself that delightful, pristine wilderness before we came along. But who? Who will show you the pictures of Earthrise as seen by your moon? Who will make maps and figure the whole project as plain wrong? Who will compose symphonies? Who will sleep with rivers in dreams? Who will allow forests to change one's heart? Who will worship your mountains? Perhaps these are flawed questions, crumbling mansions untouched by moss or remorse. When we are gone, will you remember such remarkable creatures existed? When we are gone, will you miss us? I ended up calling this book Dreams of the Epoch and the Rock, but I changed the title several times, maybe a million times, and eventually used this. Because I liked something between these two words, epoch and rock. But I say this with a little bit of regret because all my friends who have read the book, they send me emails. And most of the emails, they begin with, oh, the line that we really liked. It's called Eating Apples in the Anthropocene. Like, yeah, so there's this really short poem, not even eating apples in the Anthropocene. It's part of, a dream cycle. Eating apples in the Anthropocene means eating fossil fuels. Wait a minute, something sounds wrong. This one is not a dream. Right? That's it. But they all say, and one of the titles, and it stayed with me, like in the manuscript version, for 6 months, and it was called Eating Apples in the Anthropocene. So I say this missed opportunity. Okay, what needs to read? How are we doing? Okay, this poem you may or may not like it, but I like it. It's called Earth Sciences, and the story of this poem is that I finished the manuscript and I sent it to my publisher, promising that I won't, make a single change, not even any punctuation. I don't use my punctuation, but I told them whatever they want, I wasn't change anything. And then I started writing a new poem for some other book, and this new poem I thought is an essential poem for this book. So this is the story of it. And the only other thing, which I don't explain in the notes. There's a word that I use here called kalpa, and maybe some of you know about kalpa. It's this Buddhist concept of time. Just like earth scientists, like they have these epochs and periods, and geologic time, deep time, is huge for us even to comprehend. So kalpa, is this Buddhist idea of how old the world is. And once a monk asked Buddha about how old the world is, and he said, imagine a mountain that is 16 kilometers high, 16 kilometers wide, and all that. And then imagine that there's a monk who, with a silk cloth, just rubs the summit of this mountain every 100 years. And the time it takes for the mountain to become a grain of sand, that is for how long the kalpa is. And the Anthropocene Working Group, I think most of you know, the earth scientists who were curious, okay, are we in the Anthropocene or not? Should we name it or not? Okay. Earth Sciences 1. In Kamakura, where the Buddha is almost the size of a mountain, the Anthropocene Working Group has gathered in a 4-story hotel. In the day, the geologists debate the mark of the new epoch. In the night, they listen to Schubert, each one in their own room with card keys and a little sand on feet, oblivious to Buddha's eye, ear, tongue. How old is the world? A monk had asked the enlightened one once. How long? An eon. Kalpa. 2. One geologist sits alone in her air-conditioned room. String, quintet, adagio, a blue bandana entangles her hair. Outside the window, ocean waves form and break like others. She, an exemplar in her subfield, inventor of a new gen stethoscope to listen to Earth's depths and shadows. Even in landlocked hamlets, she can listen to the faraway ocean tides surge and recede. 3. On page 3, a local paper addresses the state of the haiku, as if the state of the weather. Up until now, the poetic form relied on each season's stable arrival and departure. Some confusion has set in among the young practitioners. How does one in the new era achieve the perfection of Basho or Isa? I seem to have lived 24 summers this long winter. 4. On FaceTime, the geologist now talks to her daughter. On a different continent, the 5-year-old would like to speak, someday to a whale. She shows her ma crayon drawings of whales. And what language would you speak in? Oh, don't you even know this, silly? Whales don't live in our language, ma. Even my younger sister knows we will need translators. She's right, thinks the geologist. Sperm whales flick low-frequency waves. Within the species, messages go back and forth by way of some enigmatic Morse code. 5. During the banquet dinner, the Anthropocene working group generates an uncanny hum. While eating greens, the geologist learns all she missed, the keynote about a Canadian site with a golden spike. But then she's alone again, in the crowd, thinking about water, hoping her daughters take her along, wanting to witness the exchange. What will the whales say? Perhaps the whales could help us find a sound way out of the mess. Perhaps they are already saying things we don't want to put our ears on or see. Back in her room, let us not misuse hope. Tigers come because our living and the dead cremate forests. And why do I always assume hope is non-violent time? It will recalibrate my eyes, liberate me from history's silk and onions. Hope is delicate. It stumbles into a void when one most needs it. I hope to finish this page one last time. I hope to read it when it is done, neither loudly nor quietly.